All right, let's jump right in. We talk about bias all the time, usually as something that works against people. But what if it works for them? Today, we're going to explore a really personal and honestly surprising take on why bias is unfair, even when it seems to be in someone's favor. This quote, this really gets to the core of it, doesn't it? The fear isn't just about being on the receiving end of bias. It's about realizing you might be the one dishing it out. And that's the paradox we're going to unpack. How can a supposed advantage still be unfair? So let's talk about this fear. This isn't some big, abstract societal issue we're tackling today. The source material frames this as a really personal admission, a moment of realizing that our own way of seeing the world, our own perspective, can be seriously flawed. And that's the key right there. It's all about fairness. Bias isn't just about having a negative prejudice, it's any little nudge that keeps you from having a truly open mind. The second you lean, whether it's for someone or against them, you've kind of closed a door. You've stopped looking for the real picture in favor of what you already think. And that right there is where the unfairness creeps in. So, what does this unfair advantage actually look like in the real world? Let's get into some of the really honest, real-world examples from the source material to see how this whole idea takes shape. Now, when you look at these, especially the first two, you might think, well, what's wrong with that? Preferring women entrepreneurs, rating women leaders higher, that sounds like it's correcting an old problem, right? But it's still a bias. You're prejudging a whole group instead of looking at the actual person and what they bring to the table. And that commute example, same deal. Deciding someone's not committed because of where they live is a total assumption, not a fact about their work ethic. These examples seem pretty different on the surface, but they all stem from the exact same root problem. So what is it? What's the common thread that connects a positive bias for one group with a negative one about an individual? And there it is. It all boils down to making assumptions. The real problem is when we take our own limited worldview, our own experiences, and we use them to make a final call on what someone else is capable of. We're literally projecting our own ideas onto their life. This brings us to what is maybe the biggest turning point in this whole line of thinking. This powerful realization about the massive difference between our personal truth and, well, the truth. This is the absolute core of it. Look, my truth is real and it's valid for me. It's built from my life, my background, my experiences, but it's just one tiny piece of a giant puzzle. The truth is the sum of everyone's unique reality. The danger of bias is when we forget that, and we start treating our little piece of the puzzle like it's the whole picture. Okay, so we've pinpointed the problem and where it comes from. So what do we do about it? Well, the good news is this isn't about being a bad person. It's just about recognizing a blind spot. And the solution isn't some magic fix, it's a skill. It's something that you can actually learn and practice and get better at. So here are the steps to actually building that skill. First, you just have to be aware. You have to catch yourself in the act. Then, instead of jumping to a conclusion, you do the opposite. You ask questions. You try to get clarity on their situation, not your interpretation of it. And really, the ultimate goal is to get to a point where you just stop assuming. Now, let's zoom out a little bit, because this really personal insight has a lesson for all of us. It's about learning to consistently see beyond the very narrow walls of our own life story.
This is such a fantastic way to think about it. I mean, if two people who grew up in the same house, with the same parents, the same general background, if they can turn out to be completely different human beings, how on earth can we think we know anything for sure about a total stranger? We just can't. We can't project our story onto anyone, not even the people we think we know best.
And that leaves us with this final, really challenging question. This isn't about figuring it all out overnight. It's about choosing to stay open, to stay curious, and to just admit that the world is way more complex than any one of us can ever see from our own little viewpoint. As the source material puts it, I know I'm trying to. And maybe, for all of us, just trying is the most important first step we can take.